Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Chairman Powell, for being here today. It always is a breath of fresh air to have you here to give us the latest report on from the feds. I first want to thank you personally for working on a topic that has always been dear to my heart and dear to the heart of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus. I know several members have already touched a little bit on issues related to diversity and inclusion, and you yourself said something, and I really was struck by the words you used, that when you look at setting the interest rates, you want to reflect that all Americans in the room when you do it. And in my view, the best way to do that is to make sure that the people at the table making those interest rates decisions reflect what America looks like. So I want to thank you again for last month joining you was Adriana Kugler, who was nominated as the first Hispanic to ever serve on the Federal Reserve Board of Governors in its 109-year history. It took a while, but we're there now, and hopefully that will help ensure that when decisions are being made, that all Americans are indeed in the room with you. And so I want to thank you and the President both for making sure that that happens. I know that in my district that is 77% Latino, we're really proud of that fact. But Mr. Chairman, I wanted to see if you could provide me an update on the federal workforce, particularly within the Fed system, because I think that area too, you may recall we've discussed it before in prior times that you've been here, the workforce doesn't quite look like America. So could you give me an update on where we're at with diversity and inclusion issues related to Latinos in the federal workforce for the Fed?
Sure. Well, I guess the place I would start is a good part of the story, which is the directors of the 12 reserve banks around the country. That's been an area where we've focused heavily on diversity and inclusion, and I think met with a great deal of success. So relatively high numbers. We can give you the numbers. We'll be happy to. Relatively high numbers of both Hispanics and African Americans and other minorities, and majority of women. So that's been an area where we have a free hand to act, and we can do that. I think in terms of the workforce, we actually had a particular focus at the Federal Reserve Board on Hispanics and working hard, particularly devoting ourselves to a tight focus on generating more Hispanic contact and more Hispanic employees. And I think we had some success with that. We spent a whole year of that, doing that a year or so ago. And so, you know, it's a very important, the most successful organizations in American society, or it's not a coincidence that they seem to me to be the ones that have pretty advanced diversity and inclusion programs, so that they do have, you know, all different parts of America represented around the table.
Great. Another area of concern for me has always been affordable housing. I know that is a challenge for us in Houston, and also the challenge of combating the homelessness crisis across America. I know that the ranking member, Chair Waters, this morning filed some bills related to seeking increased dollars for affordable housing and dollars for tackling the homelessness problem. Do these issues impact the inflation rate and the work that you're doing to lower the cost of housing for all Americans?
I think they may have a marginal effect on inflation. I think more, I would point to things like workforce participation. So people need housing so that they can get to the place where the jobs are, and in many metropolitan areas the rents are very high, so people are having to drive very long routes to get to work. And I mean, labor force participation has an important effect on labor supply, which has an effect indirectly on inflation as well. So,
how long have we had the 2% goal for inflation rate?
Unofficially for a quarter of a century, and officially since 2012. And other central banks.
What factors would have to occur for you to reconsider the 2% since it's been there for so long?
What would have to happen for us to reconsider it? I can't really think of anything. Nothing during my tenure will happen to cause me to want to reconsider it. You know, if you come back in 100 years, it'll probably be different, but it's some unforeseen circumstance, I would say.
Thank you.
Gentlelady's time's expired.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate it.
I'd like to thank